Meet NordPass. It creates strong passwords for you, keeps them safely locked in a single place, and automatically logs you into all of your favorite online accounts. And you can access it all on all of your devices, even when you're offline. That's NordPass.
Ready to hop in the 6-4 and cruise around the blocks? There's a storm coming to the underworld and the heat is on. Take over the blocks and call the shots. It's time to hustle or get hustled. What's it gonna be? Stay sharp. It's a dog-eat-dog world out there. Don't let them catch you slipping. Only real gangsters thrive in the dope wars world.
Now, V-Taxi. When you first Taxi, when you first mentioned it, of course I thought about taxi services, but it's not a taxi.
Yes. So I wasn't quite sure what I wanted to call it. I thought Vow Lift perhaps, or some kind of transport metaphor. Mm-hmm. And I ended up with the taxi because it's easy enough for people to understand. Essentially, we have Ethereum and its myriad tokens and its dexes and its liquidity pools, etc. And all of that value is locked away in the Ethereum network. And then we have Polkadot and all of its tokens and dexes and liquidity pools and so on and so forth. And then we have Cosmos and we have Avalanche and we have all of these different blockchains. And they're all islands. They're all isolated from each other. They're an archipelago of blockchains is what I call it. Mm-hmm. And so when you want to trade in Moonbeam, and that's only available on that network, but your assets are on this other network, you have the trouble of how to get them from one place to the other, right? And currently, the only way to do it is to get typically an exchange, a centralized exchange that runs nodes on both networks and is willing to find a match for you of someone who wants to go in the opposite direction, or that has liquidity providers who take the trade, right? And so the big problem with that is that the exchanges being the focal point where people go to is think of them as the what is that term that they use in nature? The watering hole.
Oasis.
The oasis. I was thinking the watering hole. All right. So the watering hole is this hole with water in the middle of a desert where everyone has got to come to drink, right? And so every time you come to drink, all the other predators of yours are there as well, and you have to put your head down into the hole with one eye looking to make sure that you don't get jumped on. The exchanges are the same way. They are where everyone has to go in order to get this or that token, and so the governments have cleverly understood that fact and made those watering holes the gateways. Mm-hmm. Right? This is where they collect their information about who's playing in the world of crypto, so that they can later go investigate and prosecute and tax and do all the nasty things that governments do. And so the fact that you want to move value from one blockchain to the other, and that you're obligated to do so through these KYC-driven mechanisms, is a problem. We in the blockchain space aspire to freedom, mm-hmm. right? Freedom from surveillance, freedom from confiscation, from taxation, from control in general, from control, and we have to a large extent created mechanisms that allow us to withdraw from those control mechanisms. For example, DEXs, right? DEXs are wonderful things. It doesn't do KYC. It cannot be compelled to do KYC, right? The problem is that it also doesn't know how to talk to a foreign chain. Yeah. It lives on this chain and it can trade any of the tokens on that chain, but there's no IBC, there's no inter blockchain communication mechanisms like TCP/IP exists today, right? We have yet to develop those.
What there is are bridges. The bridges are centralized.
Well, yes. So inter blockchain communication per se, there actually is, and it comes with varying levels of risk. So if you think about WBTC, for example, and Ethereum, mm-hmm. that is a form of IBC, right? It's taking Bitcoin from the Bitcoin network and bringing it onto Ethereum as a token. The problem is it's not decentralized. When you want to do this, you take your Bitcoin and you give it to someone, and that someone holds it and manufactures you a token on the Ethereum network. And if they disappear with all the Bitcoin, and there's like $1.5 billion, I think, of Bitcoin in that pool, whoever runs this could disappear with the Bitcoin. Those WBTC tokens become worthless instantly, and if you're holding them, you just lost your money.
Yeah.
Right. So this is a big problem. And decentralized exchanges are no better, because if you decide that you want to take value from one blockchain and put it into the other, and you have to go through a decentralized exchange, at that point they could confiscate your funds. Right. They say, oh, we linked your address to some Russian thing which you have actually nothing to do with, but the clustering mechanisms for Chainalysis indicate that you're probably related, and they're like, we're going to, out of an abundance of caution, we're going to just confiscate your funds, right? And you've got zero recourse, because these companies, these exchanges, don't even have customer support. Like, they have probably somewhere an email address that you could write to, and you will never get an answer back.
Yeah.
So what VowTaxi seeks to do is to provide a mechanism that allows at least the V currencies, not everything. I'm going to focus in the beginning on V currencies, to travel across blockchains. Almost free of charge. There will be a small transaction, because there's a transaction fee on both networks, on the sending network and on the receiving network. And we also do want to make a little bit of money in the process. But all of the profits that we generate from the VowTaxi system are basically going to be invested into Vow, right? So that's only positive for Vow, and that also means that V dollars or V pounds and V euros then become the lingua franca of the blockchain space, because that means that you can take a position in Moonbeam, in some DEX, in some blockchain, in V dollars, and exit for V dollars, and therefore V dollars becomes your currency of reserve, right? You come in and out of every position that you want to take in V dollars, and now it allows you to then take positions in multiple blockchains, because you can move the V dollars around.
Okay, how does it work, and how does it work without being centralized?
So the way it works is relatively simple. You go to vowtaxi.com, vow.taxi, which is the top level domain, and it's not operational yet. It's actually most of it has been written, and it's being beta tested, so it's not available to the public. Although the website is up and you can go look at it. But essentially, you're going to take your Vow mobile app on your phone. You're going to on the web page, you're going to see a QR code. You scan that QR code with the Vow app, and the application lets you in. So we don't do user IDs and passwords, right? Mm-hmm. Like Google and all those guys. We just scan a QR code with the app, and then you get in to the page that way. And when you get in, what you do then is you start connecting your wallets to the website, right? Mm-hmm. So if you've got a Cosmos wallet, you can connect it to the website. That way, the website knows that is your address, and it basically registers it. And then we have a series of smart contracts on every blockchain that serve as gateways. So let's say that there's a smart contract on Ethereum that when you send your funds to it, it pops them up onto Cosmos. And I think I'm frozen.
No,
okay. My video seems frozen on my side, but okay, whatever. So there's a different smart contract that when you send your funds to that, the funds pop up on the Polkadot side, mm-hmm. right? And so the way that the system knows who to deliver the funds to, when it receives the funds, it looks at the address and says, who is this coming from? it looks up the address in our registry and says, "Oh, these funds are coming from Rich," and he just sent them to the Polkadot gateway. Therefore, the funds then get minted on Polkadot and delivered to your address on file with us. And so that's how you receive your V dollars, right? You send 10 V dollars, you receive 10 V dollars minus a small transaction fee.
Okay. Now, it sounds a little bit like ChangeLly or Change Now, or those exchange aggregators, or like Exodus uses, or Atomic Wallet that I can swap from one asset to another, but everything's happening in the back end.
Yes. So there's various ways to do this. The way that we are doing it now is okay. Let's say there's various ways to do this in a centralized fashion, and various ways to do it in a decentralized fashion. The way that we're doing it right now is centralized.
So we just dropped signal there, just lost connection. But you were saying that the way that you're doing it now is centralized.
Yes, we're doing it in a centralized way because that's quick, and the alternatives are just emerging. We obviously, I mean, it's centralized, but that doesn't mean that the funds are at risk, because the funds are actually held by the smart contracts. The issue is that the smart contracts need an oracle function in order to know when they are going to mint or burn a token.
Mm-hmm.
And that oracle function is presently centralized. We have cloud mechanisms that basically ping the smart contracts and say, yes, I have witnessed the following, kind of thing. And that is a function that we can decentralize. We could actually create a network of miners who merely serve as oracles, and we can create consensus around the establishment of the fact that a token needs to be burned somewhere and minted somewhere. But in fact, there are better solutions, and our phase 2 for VowTaxi is going to be the decentralization of that. And my expectation is that we're going to do it using the secret network, which, if you haven't looked into, is super, super cool.
I have looked into the secret network. I've got a whole bunch of videos. I first interviewed Tor, I think, in 2018 and bought Secret then. So
I'm my goodness. Wow, you're early.
Yeah,
it's come a long way.
Yeah, it really has.
I
just got to mention also Shade Protocol, because I got a series of videos coming out right now as we're recording this about Shade Protocol.
Shade.
Yes.
Oh, I've not heard about this, and definitely must do the research then. Because in fact, I am looking for solutions, privacy solutions, which I believe, are really the next big thing. We've figured out the scaling stuff. We've figured out some of the IBC stuff, right? I mean, Polkadot and Cosmos have done a wonderful job at creating standard interfaces for how parachains should talk to each other, all that kind of stuff. I think that the next big thing is privacy, and Zooko has been busy. ZK Starks was actually implemented. They got rid of the ceremony, all this kind of good thing, right? And so we're now in a position, especially with the secret network, where you can create smart contracts that can hold secrets, right? And I talked about this forever and ever. I said, what we need is the decentralization of secrets.
Mm-hmm.
If we can decentralize secrets, we can hold the private key for one blockchain in another blockchain, right? Now we have true IBC. Now, and not only do we have IBC, inter-blockchain communication of value, transfer of value, which is what VowTaxi is doing, but you may even have more RPC type of communications, right? Where you could actually execute a method on a remote blockchain of a smart contract from another smart contract. And so that opens up the possibility for the coordination of business logic across blockchains, which is really exciting, right?
Yes.
And I mean, there's some stuff, there's people working on this stuff. For example, there's a bridge between Radix and Cosmos, I believe, or Polkadot, I don't remember. And what that means is that you can then do certain things that are more easily done in one blockchain and delegate functionality that is better done in another blockchain. For example, Radix is a highly performant chain, right? I mean, they're orders of magnitude faster than anyone else out there. So we talk about Bitcoin doing 5 transactions a second, and I don't know, Ethereum doing, now with proof of stake, I don't know what it is, but let's just say, EOS, when it first came out, it was 1,000 transactions a second. And that was orders of magnitude faster than anything else. Of course, they did it at the expense of decentralization. They had 21, block producers. But then you look at Radix, and it's 1.5 million transactions a second in a fully decentralized model with Turing completeness, right? Fully sharded. And so that's super excited. And it's 1.5 million transactions a second is enough to run the entire planet, right? With microtransactions. So you look at Radix and you say, well, that's clearly where I want to be doing the big volume of transactions. But there might be situations where I have to do a whole bunch of calculations that really have to be trusted. And that's not necessarily the best place to do it. So once you have a bridge between Radix and Cosmos, you can then go code all your business logic in Cosmos. Think of an airline reservation system, right? You could build on Cosmos where the actual payment layer is Radix, because you now have a bridge, right? So that's super cool, and this is really the future for Vow Taxi.
Very good. And when will Vow Taxi launch?
Very soon. Our developers are working on the UI, so we have the backend, the smart contracts, the gateway stuff built for, I think, 8 different blockchains and all the EVMs.
Right.
So that means we can go to Casper, we can go to Avalanche, we can do anything that's EVM based. We can readily build the smart contracts and stuff. We have the middle layer, the middleware, which is basically all the oracles. And we have an initial pass at the UI, which integrates all of the wallet connectivity stuff, right? Because the one thing that we can't do is we can't let you just list any addresses that you like and claim them as your own, because then what would happen is you would steal my address, right? And you would say anytime that funds arrive arrive from this address, deliver them to this address, right? So anytime that you send funds, I get them, because there's no way for the system to verify that the target address actually belongs to you, right? And so the only way to do that is to actually connect the wallet, and so you can then sign transactions and say, yes, this is my thing, and we're guaranteed that these are your addresses.
Right. Like so Kepler does, or MetaMask does.
Exactly. So we have integration into Kepler and into MetaMask and into all these other things, and we're making pretty at this point. And I think I don't know, within a fortnight or so, we'll be looking at beta testers, and then a further release maybe within a month.
Very good, and that will allow people to move from Vow to a whole host of other cryptocurrencies eventually.
Eventually, yeah. I mean, I think in the beginning, the idea is simply to transport your V dollars and your V euro across all the blockchains, and to establish the V currencies as the lingua franca of the blockchain space.
Great. Okay.
Right. What Tether should have done, but never did.
Yes. Very cool. Anything else you want to let us know about Vow Taxi? And then we can talk about what's happening with V Travel a little bit, because it's very, very exciting.
Yeah. One more thing. Vow Taxi will have its own token, and it will have a liquidity pool where you can, because you see I mentioned earlier that we will charge for the service, and that the fees will be invested in Vow, right? It's actually a partial truth. There will be a Vow to V Taxi token liquidity pool, and anyone who wants to participate in the yields that the network generates can do so by means of the liquidity pool, which means that you can both provide liquidity by putting in Vow and Vow Taxi tokens, or you can simply buy Vow Taxi tokens from that liquidity pool and hold on to them. And therefore, we commit our our profits to the liquidity pool, which means that we buy our tokens back every month, every week or whatever, and therefore our tokens rise in price. So if you buy our VOW taxi tokens, then you will see that capital appreciation because we are constantly buying them as a function of the yield that we generate.
Good. Okay. All right. And when will they launch those VOW taxi tokens?
They will probably launch after a little bit after we have some idea of the utilization of the network, right? So we're gonna make a big splash, and differing from the VOW, the sort of VOW marketing savvy. VOW is not so deeply integrated into the crypto world. It's a commercial play. They know retailers. That's what they know, right? They have access to all the retailers in the world, and they're just working on that. Crypto per se, the people in crypto and crypto influencers, etc., not so well connected or savvy, and so that's going to be my responsibility to basically push this and let people know that it's there and that it's an alternative to centralized exchanges, and in some ways this really dovetails perfectly with crypto space, which I'm the CTO of, because crypto space's primary functionality is really to be an on-ramp onto crypto. Right? So even though they have a custodianless exchange and they have backend connections to repurchase Bitcoin, and they can sell you all these kinds of things or buy it from you. Over the longer term, the vision for crypto space and its related affiliates in the various countries where it operates is really to serve as the on-ramp. So then what happens is you take your fiat, you on-ramp through crypto space, you do your KYC there for a stable token, for a stable coin. So there's no issues of taxing authorities saying, oh, you bought Bitcoin and when did you sell it? And what was your capital gains? No, I actually bought a stable coin. There is no capital gains on that. Have a nice day. I still have it or don't have it or whatever, right? But it was my money to begin with. So that disappears. All of that layer of compliance issue. You still have to do KYC because it's fiat, right? Because they control that. But then once you're in a stable coin, now you can go play, right? You can move those funds across any blockchain, go do whatever you want, put it into the liquidity pools, all good.
Very good. All right. Well, keep me posted on that. I look forward to having you back about that. Do you want to tell us about V-Travel? What's happening there?
Coming soon. I mean, we're really sort of putting the final touches on the UI. The UI looks beautiful. My partner ripped out the old engine that they have, and they have an implementation to the new engine, which is super killer. It brings us basically the rest of, so in the airline industry, and he can speak more more at length on this subject because he knows this like the back of his hand. I don't know the travel industry so well, but basically there's like an old system that was built like a long time ago in COBOL or Fortran or something like that in mainframes, and there is a new system that was built and some degree of migration by various airlines and hotels to this new system. And so now we have this sort of split where in order to have the entire thing, you have to have this old system and that new system. And there's a third system that seeks to unite the two systems or whatever. So in any case, and that's very new. And that's, I think, is the engine that we've integrated. So we now have basically all of the airlines on the planet.
Wow. And for people who don't know what it means, it works a little bit like Ocado or moneysupermarket.com, where I can go and if I wanted to fly, say, from London to New York, it finds me the cheapest seats.
Correct.
And I pay the same amount in fiat as I would, but I get the discount tokens in the form of VOW. Actually,
the way that we're launching it, so to reiterate, yes, it's like Expedia. In fact, it's better than Expedia. It's better in that it has richer content. So we had this meeting when we were previewing V-Travel, and we had some Scots on the call, and we said, well, why don't you give it a try? Give us a name of a place, right? and they're all laughing. It's like, oh, we're gonna type in Oban, right?
Mhm.
Like, who's ever heard of Oban? There's probably not even any hotels in there, right? And for sure, it's not going to show up in the results, right? There'll be nothing. They're all laughing, right? And they type Oban, and sure enough, there's like 30 hotels, and they're like, oh my goodness. Well, Expedia certainly wouldn't carry them, right? So we have deeper content than Expedia, and the model that we're actually launching with is one where you can only pay with V dollars or V euros or V pounds or whatever, right? But we only V currencies. We don't touch fiat, and that is partly out of necessity and partly out of philosophy, right? Because our sort of stated mission is we want to decouple from fiat. We want to not touch banks, not touch credit cards, not touch any of that apparatus. And so if you have V dollars, which, we can talk about where those will come from, you can now fly and stay in hotels and do all this kind of stuff, right? And so we are going to be able to provide better rates than pretty much anyone out there.
Wow, that's extraordinary. And I think from remembering from our first interview, what happens in the back end that the purchaser, the retail customer won't see is that those V dollars or the VAL are being converted to that airline's loyalty tokens. Their loyalty.
Yes, in some cases that's true. In some cases, the V dollars will be converted into real dollars through the last network's liquidity. And then deals will be cut or are being cut with the airlines, right? So there's sort of, it's a slow transition where in the beginning, we have only so much capacity to negotiate, right? We only have so much time, so many people to go and do the negotiations. So we get these guys to come across the line, and they are now doing this, but we can still support all the rest of the airlines or hotels that we haven't negotiated with in their own terms, right?
Right.
And then slowly we convert them across, because in fact there is a benefit to them in that we bring them business, so they like that aspect of it. But there's a far greater benefit if they can actually issue their own currency, right? If they can issue their own V dollars, and that just takes time to explain. So basically, once you've got a few of the smaller players, you can point to them, to the bigger players, and say, oh, those guys are already doing it. So it's already tested and it works and it's benefiting them greatly. And it's a much easier conversation at that point.
Okay, very good. And I look forward to that and having you or the guy that set up VTravel come back on the channel and discuss it further, because that's something I'm definitely interested in. And I imagine others will be. Is there anything else you want to let us know before we finish up, Erick?
No, I would just highly encourage everyone to obviously view our previous interview, because I got tremendous feedback at the conference from that. I mean, people told me that they watched it 4 times. Many people watched it 4 times.
I think part of it is, or it might be, just to understand the complexity and also the cleverness and the novelty of the VAL solution, because it isn't like anything else I've come across.
Exactly. I mean, a lot of people told me they would watch a certain part and go, no, that's not possible. There's no way, right? And they'd go away, they'd think about it, come back, and they'd watch it and go, oh my God, that's crazy, right? So I would highly. So one of the cool things is that when people watch that interview, they really get the big picture, and it means that I now don't have to explain a whole lot of stuff, because I did already, right? Yeah. So I would also highly encourage people to watch my keynote speech, my keynote address in Frankfurt, because it kind of brings together the picture of how you can participate and why all of this matters, right? And it was an electrifying speech. Like I said, I could hardly even deliver it because everyone was just like standing ovation kind of thing. So
yeah, sounds like a lot of fun. I look forward to meeting up with you when there's one of those in London or something.
Yeah, we're going to have to do it again because it was such a great success. So,
and there are hotels in London with larger capacity as well.
That's what Bish was saying. Is we have to do this bigger, but I can't find the places. It's like, okay, London's good.
Yeah, London is good. Okay, all right, Erick. Listen, thank you so much. Really, really appreciate you coming on to explain all this. For those of you that are watching, give me any comments or questions. Put them in the description below. Throw me some VAL ticker symbols, and all the relevant links also below this video. And between now and when I see you next, please keep filling your pockets with crypto profits. It's Crypto Rich and Crypto Eric signing out. All the best. Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.